And I'm actually going to push them into phase 2. So phase 2 of the trial, unceremoniously, starts off by meeting them where they are. They've just completed a challenge. They're still in their trial, and they've only done 5 days of it. So they are in day 6 of 14, and there's lots to cover. So what I do is I say, hey, we just finished the challenge. It's been a lot of fun. Whether you failed, whether you succeeded, or whether you did not get to complete it, that's all right. That's in the past, and we're moving forward. So what we're going to be doing is in email 6, I'm refocusing their expectations. And I'm saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. And for the rest of the trial, we're going to be showcasing some really powerful features. You're going to have a lot of fun. Stick with me, and we're going to move forward. We're not actually giving them an additional reward at this point, but we're just continuing on the conversation. We're moving them forward. But we're not done with offers, right? So email 6 comes off, and one day later, we're going to send out email 7. Email 7 has another 24 hours, and then we get to email 8. Now, arguably, email 7 is my halfway point. And you don't have to argue that hard. 7 days into a 14-day trial is the halfway point. But it felt like email 7 was not the right time to bring up that halfway offer, right? So if you think back to Alex's 5 moments to put an offer in front of someone halfway. So I actually wanted to throw it on the back end of the halfway. That is day 8, right? So I have an arts degree, and one of the things that we think about when we're looking at how to lay out things on a photo is you actually want it to be higher up on the top than on the bottom. You want more space here on the bottom, right? And so the reason for that is aesthetically it feels right, and thus I feel that aesthetically email 8 feels right. Now, feel about that how you will. That is my logic, and I will stick to that logic. Let me know in the comments if you think otherwise, and maybe we can have a conversation. But email 8 comes out, and I call this the halfway point offer. So this offer, just like all of the other offers that we've had thus far, is good for 24 hours. It's going to offer up several different bonuses for if they decided that they wanted to subscribe to Sam right now, today. And in doing so, it is going to give them VIP access to future events that we hold. It's going to give them VIP access to some additional trainings that we offer, and it's going to give them some bonus resources. So all of this is going to happen, and it's going to allow them to think about, hey, you know, there's a little status involved right here. If I decided to subscribe, I've already kind of gotten a good look at the platform. I've spent several days in it. Maybe I did or did not complete the challenge, but either way, here's a little gut check. If I could do this much in 1 week, is another week of looking at it really needed? I don't know, maybe, but we're going to offer it up either way. So this is my halfway point offer that comes out on email 8. Now, because we brought up our halfway point, we have so far on those 5 times accomplished the first. Then after that, we have our milestone, we have our activity, and then we have our halfway, right? So you might be saying to yourself, well, okay, we definitely covered the first up here. The halfway makes sense. Let's dive into these middle 2, because it seems like a good breaking point for us to kind of tie the bow. So the activity is actually the challenge. I needed them to accomplish something to earn that offer. And that leaves us with our milestone. Now, the milestone is a really interesting one. How Alex presents it and how best I understood it when I was reading through it is that this is something that they actually need to happen because of something they've done, but it happens for them, right? And lots of different milestones. But what I decided is anytime they build a routine, not anytime, the first time they build a routine, I'm actually going to trigger the milestone. So what that means is either A, up here during the challenge, if they completed the challenge, that's actually going to be triggered during task 2. But if they do not complete this during the challenge, but they still continue forward and eventually get to it, they can then build a routine and they complete milestone, and then they get this milestone offer. And what this specific milestone offer gives them is some bonuses that are specific to routine building. And it says, hey, you've built a really great routine. Nice work. Would you like to build some more routines? Would you be curious about all of the different routines? And so I put together the 25 most used routines based on customer feedback, evaluating real estate, and just thinking about, gosh, what are 25 of the best routines that they could build? And I put that into a package. And so they get an offer at that point. So now we've addressed the milestone. We now have a lead coming through. They're an engaged lead. They start their SAM trial. They've taken the challenge. They either trigger the milestone on task 1 or they move forward. They earn the challenge or they don't earn the challenge. If they don't earn the challenge, they get their golden ticket. They could take the golden ticket by subscribing and they get the reward. But if they don't get the reward, if they haven't subscribed, then they move to phase 2. If they move to phase 2, we move all the way down and they've probably gotten at some point already this milestone. Now, arguably, you could build in at some point in here an additional opportunity to trigger the milestone. But what I have found is most of my trialers will build a routine at some point in some capacity, some way, somewhere. And oftentimes it is during the challenge. And if not during the challenge, typically it is around day 7, day 8. Whoa. So this is all very nuanced to my business, but you can see how what I'm looking at is the customer journey and the overall flow of this as I'm thinking through the system that is built into this specific routine experience for my trialers. So as we move forward, they've received their milestone. They now have their halfway point, and maybe they don't take the halfway point. If they did take the halfway point, they would get moved into my customer experience, and they would move forward. But if they do not, then they get email 9, they get email 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we get to email 14.